Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel and my little corner of the internet where we talk about all things wellness, physical wellness, mental wellness, financial wellness, all of those good things, probably some lifestyle things thrown in there too, you name it. I usually like talking about it, but today we are going to do a little check-in because in all transparency, I have been incredibly burned out. So I wanted to just sit down, take a moment, reset myself, and talk a little bit about going into fall, just some of the mindset shifts I'm gonna be making, some of the habits I'm gonna be implementing and goals I'm setting for myself to keep myself in a better place than I was left at the end of the summer, which is not great. But if you are new here and don't know who I am, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Reese. I am 23 years old, almost 24 in a couple months, and I just like making content about, as I mentioned, all things wellness. I started out more in the health and fitness space, and I feel like I've kind of wanted to transition more to a holistic lifestyle, figuring out how to be a young adult in your 20s type of channel. So if you like that type of content, then you're in the right place. First, we need to backtrack a little bit and have a little bit of a story time, because obviously me feeling incredibly burned out did not come out of nowhere. I probably should have seen it coming, and I think I did. Deep down, I think it took me a while to admit to myself that I was actually super burned out. I really loved everything that I was doing. It was just the volume of what I was doing was a little bit too much. In one of my most recent videos, I talked about how I was balancing both having a full-time job and also being a personal trainer on the side. And while having both of those careers was so incredibly fulfilling, it definitely started getting to a point probably early on in the summer, midway through the summer, where it was becoming a lot to keep up with. I had no time for myself anymore. And I think that's what really led me into that burnout phase. Was I just felt like instead of me living my life was living me. So much of my time was commitments to other people and to other things, into other tasks, that it felt like I had nothing left for myself. I didn't have control over my time. My schedule was controlling my time. That kind of led me to a place where I was exhausted most of the time. I was completely unmotivated. I had to force myself to do pretty much everything, even the things I had enjoyed. And the things I previously enjoyed were no longer enjoyable. I was also super resentful. I would love being in a session with my clients, but as soon as I stepped out of that space, the thought of having to be at the gym again in like 9 hours to train someone else at 5:30 in the morning or whatever crazy time I was doing just made me angry and frustrated. It was not a place that I wanted to be in or stay in, and was really starting to take a toll on my mental health. And I really needed to have like a come to Jesus moment and get a handle with my therapist's help on what was going to be the right decision for me moving forward, because I could no longer keep living like this. Because if I did, it really wasn't gonna end well, the direction that I was heading. That is kind of a recap of the past couple weeks. And like I said, thankfully I had the support of my wonderful therapist who helped me talk through this, as well as my family, my boyfriend, several friends who I talked through these things, and ultimately came to the very hard decision that I'm going to be stopping personal training for now, which was not easy at all. And I feel like I have been grieving really that job, but it was necessary and needed to happen for what I need to do for myself moving forward. Another thing that I was doing at first was gaslighting myself that I wasn't burned out, and trying to convince myself that it wasn't really that bad. I was being over dramatic. I didn't have this specific symptom of burnout, so I was probably fine, right? But it is situations like this where I think you really just need to listen to your gut and listen to what feels right to you. And one thing that I know is that my like true self, the voice that is me, will never be the one belittling me or shaming me. And so that voice that was telling me, you're not actually burned out, you're being over dramatic, that was gaslighting me. That was not the real me. That was the overperformer, that was the perfectionist, that was the people pleaser mentality that was trying to kind of keep me locked in this state of just constantly producing. And so I had to choose to listen to my own voice in that situation and know that no, like I actually really am feeling this and I need to make some changes in my life. Okay, so now we've chatted a little bit about how I got into this space of burnout. Now I want to talk about some of the things that I'm doing going into this next season to really reset myself and just feel better overall. I feel like these things kind of fall into two different buckets. So the first bucket of things that I'll talk about is what I'm gonna call the going back to basics bucket, which is basically going back to those little habits, those little things that really just make me feel good that I've gotten a little bit away from in the past few months. So the first one of those that I'll chat about is reading. I absolutely love reading. I've been a reader for years. Follow me on Goodreads. I don't actually even remember my Goodreads handle. If I remember it, I can put it down in the description if you want to check out what I'm reading. I used to be really good about reading for a good 20 to 30 minutes before bed. I'm so tired at the end of the night these past couple months that I can only make it like 10 to 15 minutes. So I really want to pick up that habit again of reading a little bit longer before I go to sleep, as well as finding other times during the day to read, particularly in the evening before I get in bed. One thing that I've been doing recently that I don't love is if I do have free time or any amount of downtime, I immediately get on my couch and reach for the remote and turn to Netflix. There is nothing wrong with sitting down and just vegging out on the couch for a few hours, because sometimes you really need that. And I probably did really need that because I didn't have a lot of energy for anything else. Now that I'm going to be in a place where hopefully I will be having more energy, I'll be having a little bit more time to myself. When I sit down in the evening, instead of reaching first for the remote, I want to be reaching for a book. I kind of want to take back some of my evening from streaming platforms. I set a goal for myself of finishing 5 books this fall, and if you are interested in what I'm reading, definitely let me know. Happy to talk about it on YouTube if anyone wants to hear. The second thing is going to be going back to getting myself out of my apartment. Particularly, there are a few ways I'm thinking of doing this. One is going into my office again more. I am very, very lucky that my job can be hybrid and I do have the flexibility to work from home most of the week if I would like. Last year, for pretty much the entire first year of my job, I really didn't take advantage of it that much. I love going into the office. I feel like I am so much more productive when I am in a space that is completely separate from my relaxing space and my living space to get work done. I also am such a people person. I'm a huge extrovert. So going into the office and seeing other people and sitting with them at the lunch table and chatting in between meetings is something that I really enjoy. But the past few months, it felt like so much work to drive myself the 20 minutes there and back every day, pack everything I needed if I was training before or training after, and going to the gym before or after, getting all my meals together. It just took a lot of planning. I feel like I would spend almost a half hour packing for the next day in the evening. It just got to a point where I was like, this is too much and it's just easier to just stay home, so I do. But as a result of that, I have been in my apartment a lot. I do live alone, which I also love, but that also means that if I'm in my apartment a lot, I'm also alone a lot. For me, it's really good to just be getting myself out and doing things and just being around other people, even if I'm not talking to them, really boosts my mood. One of the ways I'm gonna do that, as I mentioned, is going into the office more. And then I also just wanna make sure I'm going out and doing some like fun fall things. I want to check out a couple new coffee shops. I want to go outside and sit in a park and enjoy the fall weather. Maybe take myself on a few hikes. Just doing some things by myself but out and around other people, I think would be really great for me. My third little back to basics thing that I'll chat about is writing again. Either through journaling or sitting and writing like a little bit creatively are two things that I feel like I've just kind of abandoned in the past couple months that I would really like to get back to. Journaling a few times a week would be very doable for me to implement back into my life. And then by the end of the fall, I set a goal for myself that I'd like to write 2 creative pieces on topics of my choosing. Who knows, maybe I'll even post those. I used to have a blog, fun fact. I do not anymore. Writing is something that I've always loved, and I know spending some time doing that again will bring me some joy. That's kind of my first bucket, is going back to some of those small, simple things that I do enjoy and are pretty easy to implement in my daily life. And then on the other hand, I have this energy within me of just this restlessness. Burnout made me very apathetic. I didn't feel strongly about a lot of things. Overall, I just didn't care. I wasn't motivated and I didn't care. And so this restlessness is definitely coming from a place of feeling like I kind of need to stimulate and reawaken myself again almost. So I feel like I definitely need a couple shakeups to get myself out of this burnout. The first one obviously was leaving personal training. That was something that had to be done to free up some more time for myself. I don't see it as closing the chapter on personal training, but kind of just taking a pause on that for now. Thankfully, it's always something I can come back to if I want to. So that's already a big change in itself. The second thing that I did to shake things up, I talked about in my last video, which was signing up for a half marathon, which is really scary to me and completely changes up my entire fitness routine. I have been a gym girly for many, many years, and I never got really deep into running. I went through a little bit of a running season 2 springs ago. I didn't make it beyond like 5 or 6 miles. And so this is gonna be a really big challenge for me and just a really fun journey that I will be embarking on. Another thing that I really wanna do is a little bit simpler and a little bit more feasible, just going through and cleaning out my closet. A wardrobe overhaul just always makes you feel lighter and fresher and more yourself when you can open your closet and know that the majority of the things in there are gonna be things that if you put on, fit you, feel good, and make you feel confident. That is really my goal. I don't see myself getting to a place where everything in my closet is gonna fit those 3 criteria, but I wanna get myself closer to that goal. I did go on a big shopping trip yesterday. I think tomorrow I'm gonna go through and just go through all of my fall clothes at least and pick out the things that don't fit me anymore, I don't love. Pretty sure there's still some things from like my freshman year of college in there that need to go, and do a round of donations and consignment, whatever I need to do. I think that is gonna be a big confidence boost and just overall make me feel a little bit fresher and yeah, feel better about myself, you know? I'm slowly creating the vision of myself that I want to be through curating my clothes. And then the last thing I'm doing to shake things up is being consistent on here, making videos, being generative, getting back in just that creating headspace that I love a lot and have kind of gotten away from, making YouTube a part of my life again. This is a space where I just feel very myself. It's another medium and way to create community and speak to people, 2 things that I love doing. So setting a goal for myself of uploading 8 videos before the end of 2025. I want to be uploading roughly every 1 to 2 weeks and trying to keep a pretty consistent schedule with it. I have a lot of fun ideas for future videos going into this fall. Last week I started my whole running series, so you can follow along with that and my half marathon training. I want to do more days in the life, full days of eating, more meal prep videos, more sit down and chat videos. I also have a few fun trips coming up this fall. When this video goes up, I will actually be in Amsterdam doing a big week-long solo trip there, so definitely stay tuned for that. I think that is all I have for this little chat about resetting for fall. It wasn't super fall specific. It's hard to get myself in the fall headspace right now when it's still 80 degrees and sunny outside. Maybe in a couple weeks I'll do more of like a get my like life and apartment more in the fall mood type of video. Overall though, I am very excited going into this new season of my life. These past couple months have been really challenging, but have really grown me in so many ways, and I feel like like having this experience of coming up against a wall and hitting a stopping point has taught me a lot about myself, about what I am able to handle. And if anyone wants a more in-depth chat on my experience personal training and what it brought me and why I made the decision to leave, I know I talked about it a little bit here in this video, but I honestly could talk about it for what feels like hours. Please let me know down in the comments because I would love to share more. Thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video. I know this was a little bit chatty and all over the place, but hopefully there are some pieces that you can relate to or take away from and implement in your own fall reset, goal setting, whatever you get up to prepare yourself for the next season and for finishing out 2025 strong. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.